Now other games they're up by like 30. So welcome to Double Fries No Slaw Sunday night 5-0 edition, undefeated still, unconquered, and basically on time tonight. So that's a fun one. Richie, Florida State moves up to number 4 in the polls, beats Boston College. Virginia Tech. They're all the same teams that wear maroon in this conference. Beats Virginia Tech 39-17. How's your weekend been, man? We'll talk about the game here in a minute.
Man, it was a great weekend. I'm the old man. I love these noon and 3:30 kickoffs, and that 3:30 kick was amazing yesterday. Florida State up 22-0 in the first quarter. Not a great second quarter, but we'll get into all that. But man, it was just a great time. And then I woke up this morning around 5:00 and saw the play from Georgia Tech just taking down Miami, and my weekend was complete after that. TJ.
Yeah, yesterday was a ton of fun. I took the family up, everybody but Lincoln. Sorry, no 1-year-olds at the game, but had a good time up at the game. Had a good time at the tailgate. I saw Ingram. Had a good time inside the game. Obviously, got off to a pretty good start. We'll talk about, like you said, kind of a little bit of a breakdown or two there in the second quarter. Finished strong, but. All right, let's say this. I wasn't even really that excited. I mean, I was excited because we were 5-0, but like I also had a 4-hour drive home. I had two kids that were getting restless. Like I was excited that we won, but I expected to win. So I don't want people to take this the wrong way, but I wasn't even really that excited that we won. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not trying to downplay it because I thought we looked well, looked good at times, scored 39 points. I mean, we'll break the game down, but it was just kind of, okay, well, that's what you're supposed to do. Like, very good. I wasn't like over the moon at the way that yesterday went down.
But what a good place to be, TJ, where we're sitting here being critical about a 39-17 win. Yeah, that's where we are right now. And that is awesome if you're a Florida State fan.
But I wasn't real crazy yesterday, like excited after our game. I got there last night when Georgia Tech won. that was enough for me. So we'll talk about that in a few minutes. We'll laugh at Mario. I've seen people asking for recruiting updates. We'll certainly talk about some visitors to campus this weekend and try and go over some other things as well. But Double Fries No Slaw brought to you by Guthrie's in Tallahassee, 1818 West Tennessee, and 2550 North Monroe. We've already got a super chat here. My guy Brad sent in 1999, so Brad's our leader.
Let's go,
Harlan,
Brad.
let's get a little sound up in here. Fire up the war chant or whatever you want.
Touchdown, Florida State! Touchdown, FSU!
Appreciate it, Brad. You are the man. You're our leader for today. Appreciate the love. So, had a good time yesterday. Enjoyed the game. Richie, let's jump into it. Florida State gets off to a lightning quick start and really looks good in the first quarter. And you kind of that was good to see. We'll talk about the second quarter here in a minute, but it was good to see the team get out to a quick start. 13-play drive, 7-play drive, 7-play drive, touchdown, 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 and then you forced 3 3-and-outs. And so you were playing really well on both sides of the ball to start the game. And that was kind of the one thing that people had complained about with this team was that you just were getting off to slow starts. You couldn't get anything going. In fact, on defense, you literally forced 3 3-and-outs, which I think it probably impresses me even more than the 3 touchdowns that you scored on offense. But for all the complainers, for all the critics, for all the, oh my goodness, why can't we start quick? Why can't we get going? Why can't we get up and go? Florida State's offense and defense, I don't think the special teams needed to do anything. They fielded punts well and kicked off well, but outside of that, they didn't. I guess they scored a 2-point conversion too, so special teams gets a little bit of credit as well. But it was nice to see Florida State look like they came out of that bye week ready to go, ready to get after it. The crowd was juiced, everybody was into it, and they started really, really quickly, which was the one thing that we hadn't seen them do yet this year.
Yeah, and TG were there, but man, that crowd on TV looked phenomenal. Like they were there, they were full, they were ready for the game, and it was just amazing to watch. And after that first touchdown, when Mike just says, "Screw it, let's go for 2," I'm like, okay, Mike's not playing around today. He had a lot of frustration, I think, despite the 4-0 start, and it still said, no, guys, listen, we are going all in today, and that first quarter was phenomenal. We talk about the 2-point conversion, which that's on Virginia Tech for not adjusting the way it should have, because that was clear as day what was going to happen. But it was just a fun first quarter. Second quarter, not so much fun. But it definitely seemed like the team came out of the bye week the way they should have, and they were ready to play. And that's exactly what I wanted to see from Florida State this week. And I think this is going to be a fun month of October, TJ.
Yeah, you're a lot better than a lot of the teams that you're playing, and you can probably withstand a couple of second quarters like you had yesterday. I don't think, there's a lot of freak out, and I will say, I think that, the way that the third quarter started and the first 13 seconds there probably accentuate the issues, I guess, in the second quarter. But offense sputtered a little bit on 2 drives in the second quarter. Third drive was just, the one play, the sack. So I won't give them too much grief there. But offense sputters just a little bit. Defensively, a couple of long drives given up. But, man, I hate to go here every single week, but there were some horrendous calls. The call on the late on the roughing the QB, and I get the emphasis on the quarterback, but like Mike Norvell was as animated, I think, as we've seen him in a couple of years on the sideline toward officials. I know he's certainly been there before, but I was worried about him getting a 15-yard penalty. He probably wasn't to the level that Jimbo was for the chop block game, but he was close, I felt like, at times, and I could see that from the east side of the stadium. I know you could see it on the TV, and then when you rewatched it this morning, but some pretty rough calls there, and that's where I think the drive, I think drives got extended. There were some rough calls, and then there were some maybe not as rough calls, but some things that were like, this is close. I really didn't think the defense was as bad as they played on those 2 drives, just considering the officiating. I think there were at least 2 15-yard penalties that you're like, I don't know about this. And then some other calls in there as well. But what I think I'm most frustrated about is that it took away the interception from Azariah Thomas. If, you don't have that play.
What a play, TJ.
If you don't have that penalty called, Florida State has the ball in Virginia Tech territory and very likely goes and scores again, whether that makes it 25-0 or 29-0. And then even if you go to the half at 29-7 or whatever the situation is, the game is very, very different. Obviously, they got a field goal on that drive. So if Florida State was able to have taken their field goal away, scored a touchdown, 29-7 at half or something, would have, I don't know. I mean, it would be pretty ridiculous to hear any whining on that. So it's tough for me to really jump all over the defense too much. I mean, at the end of the day, they gave up 10 points. I get it that they were on back-to-back, long drives to end a half, but I don't know. Am I making too light of the way that we played in the second quarter? Are other people making too much of it? What are your thoughts on that second quarter and officials and everything else?
Yeah, I think it was frustrating, TJ. And to your point, the officiating was an issue. Like it just was. That was not a roughing the passer. Like he had just barely, the ball had just left his hand, drones, when that tackle happened, and that should have been an interception. And it was a phenomenal play by AZ Thomas. My goodness. Like he made sure to get both feet down. That's an NFL interception, not just a college interception. But it was frustrating all around. And it is what it is, right? Florida State still, you come away 39-17, nice win, but it could have looked a lot better on the scoreboard. But this is where we are, and I'm fine with that. 5-0, TJ. We got 7 games left, 8 if you count the ACC championship. Probably North Carolina after last night and everything that happened. We'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, officiating was frustrating, to say the least.
I think we'll probably end up doing a crap on the officials video that'll come out this week because everybody really enjoys those. And so we did one last week and it got a ridiculous number of views. And so yeah, that'll or 2 weeks ago, sorry, for the Clemson game. So that'll probably happen again. All of that, all of the issues, all of the frustration in the second quarter absolutely get accentuated by Contain getting lost and Virginia Tech taking the opening kickoff of the second half back. So they score 17 straight points. That was their final point of the game. I want to talk defense, big picture, but just quick thoughts. Were you worried about the game or anything at that, or were you more so just frustrated that we gave up a long touchdown on the kickoff?
Yeah, I think you hit on it. More frustrated. I was never worried. Like yesterday was a nice day of college football for me. Watched the noon games, and then when Florida State at 3:30, randomly had a issue with DirecTV and ABC, but that's fine. But yeah, I never thought this game was in doubt. This was just a nice, relaxing college football Saturday for me, where I did not have to get stressed out or anything along those lines. And the team did what I thought they would do. And that's why I'm not upset, TJ, about not winning by more, because again, we don't want to just crap on officiating nonstop. But if that game is called the way it should be, Florida State probably wins 47-10 or something like that. And I'm just happy where we are right now. And with the schedule leading up into the next month, I think Florida State is going to be in a really good spot. Jumped up one spot in the AP poll up to number 4. Man, we are in good shape, TJ. This is a fun place to be if you're a Florida State football fan.
So I was a little bit frustrated with the long touchdown just because, I actually didn't even bet on us, but I kind of want to cover the spread, which we didn't like. I honestly didn't bet on us, so it wasn't even for me. It was kind of like, oh, well, you cover the spread. Good teams win, great teams cover, right? Whatever that crap is. So Florida State did respond pretty quickly, though. 25 seconds later, Trey Benson goes off for, at that time, a career-long 62-yard touchdown run to get the Noles up by double digits. At that point, I felt really, really good. They end up adding a field goal, have to punt at one point, but then Trey Benson busts off another super long run down the sideline, 85 yards, a one-play drive to put the Noles up 39-17. We'll talk about this, and then we'll kind of wrap up talking about the game, but do you feel better with the run game kind of breaking out a little bit? We kind of talked about this on the preview show. If the run game doesn't get going against Va-Tech, it's probably just not going to get going this year. It certainly did get going. Trey Benson hits 2 bills. Looked really good. Looked a little more decisive. Offensive line was better. You were playing a worse opponent. I get that. But sometimes you need that to kind of get things jump-started. I'd expect the running game to continue to do really well against Syracuse. I thought Jordan Travis was able to do more and was looking to run more. And again, I don't think that he was scared to run 2 weeks ago against Clemson. I think they just played him really well because they're one of the better. They're the best defense you're going to see in the ACC. So anyway, thoughts on the run game and Florida State kind of finishing the game out late.
Yeah, 11 carries for 200 yards. I will take that every single week. Obviously, there was a couple explosive plays in there that led to that. But even Lawrence Philly, he had 6 carries for 50 yards. I just thought the running game was nice. And to your point, TJ, it was so refreshing that Jordan Travis looked like he was not afraid to run the ball. I know his numbers weren't great rushing, but he clearly made his mind up that, like, I'm going to run the ball. But yeah, man, it was awesome seeing Trey Benson have the game he did. 200 yards on first 200-yard rushing game for Florida State since Dalvin Cook. Trey Benson spoke to that point during his post-game press conference with his roommate Jared Verse, which was awesome. Those two guys, like, you can tell they're just such good friends. And they were just so proud of each other. So just a phenomenal performance by Trey Benson. Again, LT had a big game. And it was nice to see Jordan Travis not afraid to take hits. And he was decisive when he decided to run the ball, which is what we need. And again, this month should be smooth. But, coming up, we got Miami and Florida coming up. And I know they both did not look great, but they will be challenging games. And I'm excited for where this team could potentially go.
So Florida State gets it done. Fans just seem miserable this year. I don't know, for whatever reason. I think the reason why, Richie, is because 2013 spoiled people. And,
yeah,
I think that they thought, oh, well, this is our best team since 2013, so they're going to go out and just demolish absolutely everybody, which I will remind you that they demolished LSU. They demolished Southern Miss. They were demolishing Boston College. They beat a tough Clemson team on the road, and then they, won this game by 3 scores. They didn't cover the spread by 2 points. So again, I think the fact that we're not beating people 51-3 every week has people pressed a little bit. This is, but at the end of the day, this is not 2013. This is a team that shows incredible resolve. They're incredibly gritty. They fight like crazy. They're never out of a game. If you look at the Clemson game, they're not afraid to go into the halftime trailing, which they've done a couple of times this year and still found a way to win. And they're better than everyone else on their schedule by a fairly wide margin. And so I think the idea that, oh man, they didn't dominate for all 4 quarters like Jameis did is a little unfair to this team because they still have been way, way better. And, people complain about the defense yesterday. The defense gave up 10 points. I get it. It is so trendy to hate on Adam Fuller. I'm not saying that he's the best defensive coordinator in the country or anything like that. Like, I'm not trying to piss off the Fuller haters here, but crapping on the defense when they give up 10 points is just blows my mind. Like, if we give up 40 to Syracuse next week, I'm good with it. I am good with it. But we give up 10 points, and some of that was very much aided by officials who sucked.
And TJ, I'm sorry. This defense has been good this whole season. They really have been. Go back to LSU. Boston College game, that's the outlier. Like, I'm throwing that one out. But man, Clemson did nothing, and they have a lot of talent. But yeah, yesterday, this is a Virginia Tech team that scored 38 points against Pitt last week up in Heinz Field, I believe. So yeah, this defense has been good, and it's okay to say that, whether you want to or not. Like, whether you like Adam Fuller, you want a new defensive coordinator, I don't care. This defense has been good this season, and I think they will continue to be good all season long.
Yeah, it is really tough for me to see a team hold an opponent, a conference opponent, to 10 points and have a problem with the defense in that moment. Now, can the defense be better at times? Would I have loved the shutout? Absolutely. But I think we just have to be real with ourselves at times. Like you said, yeah, they put 38 points up on Pitt last week. And I don't think Pitt's great, but giving up 10 points is not something that I'm going to try and jump down Adam Fuller or this defense's throat over. Again, we give up 30 or something to Syracuse next week, I'll have an issue. Syracuse scored 7 points on North Carolina. Is that right? Or did they end up
40-7, I believe. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not the kind of person that says like you got to hold them to 7, but yeah, that team shouldn't score more than 20 on you, and if they do, then, we'll have some questions, or if there's some garbage time stuff, then we'll go from there. But I'm really not upset. So, all right, reset the AP poll for us, Richie. Where are you at there?
Yeah, we're back up to number 4. And, again, the AP poll doesn't really mean anything to me because it's all about the college football playoff rankings, right? That's all that really matters. And I have a feeling Florida State will be higher than number 4 when the initial rankings come out, if they continue to take care of business the next few weeks. I believe the end of October is when the official first college football playoff rankings come out. But I'm not concerned. Texas losing that was rough. But again, go back to December. What does this say about that Florida State win that everybody was crapping on earlier? Oh, they beat Oklahoma. Yeah, Oklahoma's pretty dang good. And they were pretty good last year, very talented, just couldn't put it together. But yeah, man, everything is aligning for Florida State. Granted, 7 games left in the regular season, plus an ACC championship game. But man, everything is aligning perfectly for Florida State right now.
Harlan, we got a big one.
Oh, wow.
Put a smile on your face. Okay? Because Florida State, if we gonna do it then, we do it big then. Let's go, baby.
Michael Ellis, that's a big one. Harlan, you can roll with another one.
Yeah, right.
Fire up the war chant and plant the spear. Noles win. Noles win.
Been hearing that a lot lately, TJ. Noles win.
11
in a row. Yes.
Yeah. Let's stretch that up a little higher. So 22 is what I'd like to get to. Everyone relax and wait for the second half of the season. We're going to be lit. Win, lose, or draw, though, it's Nole-blooded all the way. Michael Ellis taking our lead today. Michael, thank you very much for the love. I appreciate that. Somebody jump up and take his top spot real quick. Shout out Michael thank you for the love, my man. Hey, yeah, it's hard to it's hard to get on the defense right now. But yeah, I think we're in a really good spot. Richie's kind of mentioned it. AP poll very, very meaningless at this point. It is nice to kind of get the recognition and move around. But at the end of the day, you've got two Big Ten teams in front of you. I mean, one right behind you, and they are going to certainly have some carnage there. You'll have some teams kind of falling. I'm not convinced that UGA wins out. I'm not convinced that Oklahoma wins out. Speaking of winning out, though, Richie, I did pull up the ESPN FPI percentages, which we've talked about these. They're certainly not perfect, but ESPN really likes Florida State too. If you use win shares, it's like right under 6. It's right under 6 in the next 7 games, but 81.9% against Q's, 78% against Duke, 87% against Wake, 86% against Pitt, 70% against Miami, 99% against North Alabama, and 77% rounding up against Florida. Not a lot of space there to drop, and that Duke game probably doesn't include the fact that Riley Leonard is either going to be out or significantly banged up. FPI doesn't take into account injuries as far as I'm aware of. I think it's all kind of based on analytics. Now, ESPN could certainly jump in and manually adjust some of those things, but we talked about Florida and Miami. What outside of those two games being rivalries, because Van Dyke looked like crap last night, and I don't think Florida's very good still, even after they beat Vandy yesterday, which I can't believe that those words just came out of my mouth. And I'm talking about like, hey, even though Florida beat Vandy, I still don't think they're very good, obviously. Where are you most concerned on this schedule? And I don't mean this as a shot as anybody else, but 82% to beat Duke, 82% against Q, 78% against Duke. Does the Pitt game worry you? Wake maybe? Like where is your biggest concern outside of the rivals?
Yeah, and you remember our preseason show, TJ. I said I thought we'd lose at Pitt. I don't think that's going to happen. Again, to run the table is extremely rare. If Florida State finishes 12-0, that would be amazing. There's a good chance they lose the game somewhere along the way, unless they just continue to show up. And I'm not going to doubt Mike Norvell, the way he has this team prepared week in, week out. But my biggest concern would be North Carolina and Charlotte, and especially with Tez Baker back. NCAA, can Daryl Jackson get a waiver here, guys, please? But yeah, no, I think North Carolina would scare me the most in Charlotte. And I definitely think that's a game that is going to happen.
That's cheating. That is not on the schedule. You're not allowed to use imaginative games.
No, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I don't know.
That's hilarious. Yeah, they've actually looked better and better this week or this year each week. So, yeah, I mean, outside of the rivals, man, it's tough to find that. I guess I would say Duke if Leonard was fairly healthy.
Yeah,
I think that would be the one.
That's fair.
But
because their defense is good, they really are.
But if he's not healthy, I mean, the ACC to me though is just so you're up one week, you're down the next. Like Wake didn't look terrible against Clemson, but then they'll go out and they'll lose to Holy Cross or something. It's just it's hard to really get a fantastic gauge on where some of these other teams truly are. So yeah, I don't know. I don't have a great answer there. Okay, but out of the two rivals, are you more worried about Miami, who's probably a little bit better of a team, or more worried about having to go to Gainesville where they play a little bit better?
That's a really hard question, TJ. I don't think Miami or Florida are that great either way, but I think Miami always plays well. And listen, look, Miami's talented. We're going to have fun talking about what happened with Georgia Tech last night here in a little bit, but Miami's got a talented team, and Van Dyke is a really good quarterback, and the Swamp is a really tough place to play. So that's a hard question, TJ. I guess if I had to pick between the two, which game I feel more confident of, it'd probably be Miami, just because I know how hard that Swamp is to go in there and get a win.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I'll be the contrarian. I'll say that I think Miami's I don't know. I go back and forth. Those teams are Jekyll and Hyde every week too, so it's really tough to put up.
Billy Napier at home is the 10-year extension of Billy Napier away from the Swamp he's fired. So that's where we're at.
Yeah. They certainly weren't, haven't been good there. They have lost a few at home, so maybe there is some, well, I think they've lost to LSU at home. I don't think they've lost. Maybe that's the only one last year. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess Florida's the one. No, they've lost 2 at home. They lost to Kentucky and they lost to LSU, and they almost lost to USF. So maybe I'm more worried about Miami. Screw them. We're beating Florida by a ton. All right, Michael Ellis with another one.
You a recruit and you ain't going to Florida State. What you doing?
I can't lie. Every week, I worry about every game after the Jacksonville State game. I would worry about playing Leon High. Now, them days are done. Listen, Richie, does it warm your heart? And Michael, thank you again for the love. Does it warm your heart a little bit that rivals have to go back like 3 years to find a solid troll on Florida State? I tweet this every week and I just update the numbers. So people, and this tweet always does really well. So thank you guys for loving on it for sure. But since starting 3-10, I mean, what Florida State has done is fairly ridiculous. They're 20-6 in their last
11 in a row, baby.
Games. 11 in a row in 15 of their last 18. And I would be shocked if they don't win their next 2 games. So, I mean, they're going to get to 17 of their last 17 of their last 20. And there aren't many teams in college football that can boast that. There just really aren't. The only team on a longer winning streak right now is Georgia, right? There's not a team that's on a longer winning streak. I mean, I don't think, right? Unless like Liberty finished the year really well last year or something. Like you look at the undefeated teams, they lost at the end of the. So I don't know, man. I think it's tough to complain about a lot when you're on one of the longer winning streaks in college football right now. And yeah, it sucked to start, but man, they certainly figured out a way to get this thing rolling. So, I just got all off topic, but all right, let's talk about this. Let me give some love to Garnet Gold. GarnetGold.com. Make sure you're shopping there. Noslaw, NOSLAW for 15% off of your order. They are the absolute best. I went over there and saw them yesterday before the game. Tara is phenomenal. She kind of helps run things over there, but they are so great. And if you're not shopping at Garnet Gold, that's the only place you should be shopping for FSU licensed apparel and gear. Richie, I'm surprised you don't have your quarter zip on. The weather outside is beautiful. I do like that shirt. I know that's from Garnet Gold, so I won't give you too much art. But it dropped below 80 today at my house, so I put the quarter zip on. Like that felt like a good, it's 78 degrees. Like, let's roll. It felt good outside this morning.
That Battle's End quarter zip is phenomenal. Like I'm going to wear that every time I'm playing golf the next few weekends. I'll probably have that for my morning warm up for sure.
Let me ask you this. I said this when I did the live on Friday and I was by myself. I thought listen, Thomas, that's a good question just because I get that question a ton. Does anybody know where you can find the Mike Norvell half sleeve in black? Nike has not made that available for retail sale. So stop looking for it because you're wasting your time. It is available at garnetgold.com in garnet, but Nike has not made that available for retail sale. So if you're looking for it, again, I don't mean that like in a cutting way. I'm not trying to be a jerk by saying that, but like you literally are wasting your time. It is not available anywhere. They don't make it for retail. So get the Garnet one. Garnet shows off more pride for FSU anyway. I know that you want the black because that's what Norvell wears, but just get the Garnet and roll with that. Use code NOSLAW though when you pick it up at garnetgold.com. We'll save you some money. Richie, you said you mentioned this. Okay. I have never. Oh, wait. This is what I want to ask you about. I got Harlan on this the other day. I don't know if you saw the tweet or not, but I asked Harlan, like, hey, if you this is a good idea. People always say, like, oh, I wish I could go to the game, but I can't make it. I can't go, blah, blah, blah. I wish I was there. I got something came up, work, this, that, and the other. And I told Harlan, I said, when people say that, what they should do is they should just take whatever the face value of tickets are. You don't have to buy the resale market of tickets. Take whatever the face value of tickets are and just donate that to the Battle's End. So if you missed the game and you couldn't make it and the face value of the tickets are like $35, you can still support from your couch. You just chip in like $35 to the Battle's End. And that's kind of like you going to the game and supporting. So I said, what do you think about that, Harlan? You think that's a good idea? And he's like shaking his head, yes. And I said, all right, Ingram Smith, Harlan's going to donate $100 because he's not going to the game this weekend. So I totally pulled a slick one on him, and Ingram texted us later and said, hey, I really like that idea. And I'm, saw Harlan got the quarter zip, so he gets a pass. But I was creative. I like spending other people's money. So it was a good weekend for me to go to the game so that I could say that so that I didn't have to donate. I also saw they were running a little promotion afterwards, donate $50 because the team's 5-0. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Next week 60, Duke 70, Wake Forest 80. Come on, think math here. I'm trying to make sure I get the games in order, not necessarily that I can add 10 each time. 90 for Pitt, 100 for Miami. That'd be fun. 120 for Florida, 130, 140, 150 if we get to the end. So, I'd like to donate $150 in the halfway through January for a national championship. I will make that trade tomorrow. So, all right, Richie. Miami. Let's talk about this a little bit. Can you even compare another bad coaching decision to this one? Like, I get that Van Dyke wasn't good. I get that other things happened. I get that, it's not necessarily Mario's fault that the kid fumbled. You still got to protect the ball. I think the refs missed the call. I think he was down. But I've never seen a worse singular call than that. I got to shut up. But yeah, this is unreal.
It was bad. And I was talking to Harlan before we hopped on, and I did not realize there was 38 seconds left on the game clock. You take a knee and the game's over. That is Mario Cristobal. He was always, go back to his FIU days, he's never been a good game day coach. He's a hell of a recruiter, and he's going to continue to get good talent at Miami. But you're also going to get games like last night that you saw, where literally all you have to do is take a knee and the game is over, and it's embarrassing because you're a 21-point favorite and you only won by 6, but you still won the game. But no, he decided to run the ball. The guy fumbles it, and the Georgia Tech, what a beautiful play. Honestly, CJ, I'm a little upset because I feel bad for Miami. No, I don't. That's a joke. My goodness. But yeah, Mario Cristobal as a game day coach is horrific. As a recruiter, phenomenal. He will be as long as he's at Miami. But if Miami's smart, they get rid of this man as soon as possible because that was so bad. And we can Monday morning quarterback it. But again, 38 seconds, 40-second play clock, take the knee, game's over.
It's not even the first time he's done it. And that's probably what's the craziest to me is that he did it against Oregon. I know the situations are not incredibly the same, but if he runs the clock out against Oregon, I think there's about 10 seconds left when Stanford's getting the ball back. So just insane that a coach could do this. This is his MO though. He did this. He's done this every single game. He has not taken a knee on the final play of the game. And most of the games, or all the games they've won by double figures or 2 scores. And so it just, it hasn't cost him, but this is certainly his MO. And I'll get to Michael here in just a minute. He's blowing us up here. But it is insane that a coach could make this bad of a decision. And I will say this, the kids that are crying on the sideline and stuff, like that does suck. And I don't really revel in like kids being upset on the sideline. Yeah. I will say though, if you're sending your kid to play for Mario Cristobal and you're sending your kid to play football for him, when you look at what he did last year with Tyler Van Dyke's health and playing him in the game that we're showing highlights of right now, and when you look at what he did yesterday to lose them the game and cause those kids that pain, and when you look at how bad of a coach he has been over his career, he's 3 games over 500. He sucks. So I feel bad for the kids, but if you're sending your kids to play football for Mario Cristobal, then you're somewhat at fault. Like, you know what you're signing up for at this point.
Yeah.
Don't go to work at McDonald's and then complain about flipping burgers, right? And that's not a shot at anybody that works at McDonald's, but don't go to McDonald's, don't go to Walmart and complain that you have to stock shelves because you know what you're signing up for. If you go sign up for Mario Cristobal and you go play for him, you know what you're getting at this point. And it's hard for me. I feel bad for you in that moment. But if you're a recruit, I see you guys talking about the recruits. If you're a recruit and you committed to Miami today after seeing that crap yesterday, I got a lot of questions, man. I got a lot of questions. I got a lot of questions about you. I got a lot of questions about your parents, because that is negligence to let your kids go play for that man. I give Sunbelt Billy a lot of crap. Sunbelt Billy would have taken a knee there. Listen, he doesn't get to taste victory very often there in Gainesville. My man would have relished the victory formation. I guarantee you that. To let your kid go play for Mario Cristobal in 2023 is wild. And to sign up to play for that clown show, Richie, that's nuts. That is insane. I don't know. Maybe I'll probably get clipped there and people will say that I'm whatever. Never mind. I'm not even going to say it. But anyway, yeah. But I enjoyed it. Let me just tell you how much I enjoyed all of that going on.
Yeah, it's just, my goodness. Mario, what are you doing? I mean, everybody saw it. And, that this is a situation where there has to be back channel conversations with boosters and the people that matter. But the problem is that I'm fairly certain that Mario Cristobal is married to the wife of John Ruiz, his sister or something like that. So it's just a terrible situation. Mario, keep him in Miami forever. He's going to continue to get talent, and it is what it is. But when it comes to game day situations, he's not going to make the right call. And we saw that yesterday, and my goodness, it was amazing.
So let's talk about this. Richie, I'll let you actually take the lead here, because I'm actually getting some news that we might even break here on the show here in a couple minutes. But talk about Jimbo and A&M getting the big win out there, and then we'll talk about some big news here. What might be big news? Trying to research, trying to look, and then we'll get into the super chat. Yeah. Let's get to Michael Ellis. Give me like 3 sounds, Harlan.
Fire up the war chant and plant the spear. Noles win. Touchdown, Florida State. Touchdown, FSU.
You a recruit and you ain't going to Florida State. What you doing?
I appreciate you guys, and make sure that I support my Nole family. I've been following the Noles since Gene and Vic days. At 12 years old, listening to the radio and wondering why we always played, we would be, because Gene would say be a tackler. Listen, I love Cole Hain, by the way.
Yeah.
But I'm going to text Gene tonight. Sorry, I don't mean to flex like that. Texting a 65-year-old man is not a flex, guys. Just so but I didn't mean it like that. If anybody took it like that, I wonder what he thinks. I wonder what Gene kind of thinks of this. Gene is the man. So Michael, you're super great there, man. I appreciate you for all the love today. Listen, I'm in Tampa. Richie's not far away in Orlando, and so I grew up listening to. I grew up listening to Gene on the Bucks, and so I didn't get like the FSU radio very much. We'd hear like the replay and stuff, but so yeah, I grew up on Gene as well. So Richie, all right, Alabama A&M, you roll for a few minutes, and then tell me how that went down in your house.
Oh, it was phenomenal. Like it was actually a really good game. Alabama A&M. People that have been listening to the show for a long time know my wife is a huge Alabama fan. Her whole family's from Alabama. She was super excited, and she shares, I don't want to say my hate, but my disdain for Jimbo, I guess is the proper word. So when they won that game, it was, again, phenomenal. I actually bet heavy on Alabama because I thought 2.5 points was like nowhere near what it needed to be. I was wrong. That was a really good line that Vegas put out there. But very happy for Bama to get that win. I'm just going to say this, TJ. I think Alabama is a sleeper for the playoff. I think if they see Georgia in Atlanta, I'm taking Alabama money line to win that game. They have everything except the quarterback that they need right now. And even the quarterback was solid yesterday. So, yeah, that's a team. Alabama, they're outside the top 10 right now. I didn't see where they were in the AP poll today. But my goodness, that is a team that I think could make the college football playoff because I think they beat Georgia and Atlanta when that game comes.
Yeah, and I don't think it's too much of a stretch because they're going to play some quality teams down the road. I mean, they're going to play an LSU team. They're going to play Georgia. They have a game coming up against Tennessee here this month, who I don't think is great by any means, but they are ranked. Tennessee plays Texas A&M this week. They can go ahead and put like another nail in Jimbo's coffin. Hate to cheer for teams in orange, but I certainly will be doing that. I think LSU is going to probably keep winning, and I think that LSU-Bama game will be a lot of fun. But yeah, I think, if it's not insane to think that the Crimson Tide could get back into it. They're 11th right now in the AP poll. We've talked about this, but there's 3 Big Ten teams that are all going to take each other out at some point.
Same with
Texas and Oklahoma. Texas and Oklahoma are going to play each other. Oregon, Washington play each other this weekend, which that should be a ton of fun, but somebody's probably going to drop a little bit from there. USC, I just don't think is very good. I'm fine with them being ahead of Bama because they're 6-0, but I don't think they're a great team by any means. So, yeah, I think that it's all kind of right there back in front of Nick Saban, and he could certainly, get back into it. Will he? We'll see kind of what goes down, what transpires there. But it's just, yeah, I hate to say that like Jimbo would be in hot water for losing a game to Nick Saban because that's what everyone else has done for the last decade plus. But how many more losses can he afford and keep his job this year? Like, look at the Texas A. Like, we can look at the Texas A&M schedule real quick. How I think the Tennessee game is a toss up, but it's on the road and they lost to Alabama at home. I think they beat South Carolina. I think they probably lose to Ole Miss, and then I think what happens in the LSU game. So probably 7-5, 8-4 is what they're looking at.
So, TJ, it's so hard because the A&M is a rare situation where they have a single booster who could pay off that $70 million buyout. But do you want to do that? Because who are you going to get instead? Jimbo was the guy. He was the coach that was supposed to win them a national championship. They already have the trophy that said Jimbo Fisher, future national champion at Texas A&M. I don't know. I don't know if you fire Jimbo Fisher, which I think would make sense. Who do you get? It just, there's nobody who would take
Coach
that.
Prime?
Yeah, Prime. Honestly, Prime, man, put him at A&M with that money, and I'm more pro Prime than a lot of Florida State fans. So I'm just saying, I think Deion, oh my goodness, would do wonders at Texas A&M and College Station. I just don't know if that's a great fit. But man, Jimbo, I think he's got his ranches, he's got his calves. He doesn't care. He doesn't have that drive to win anymore. People don't realize when he was at Florida State, his first year as a head coach, he was making like $2.3 million. Like, he was still grinding, which is a lot to any normal person like us. But he's making $8 million a year now. He doesn't care. So, and he's never going to win big again, ever in college football.
Yeah, I think his best days have certainly passed him. And again, I think 8-4 for him this year would be a good year. And that's kind of sad. Couldn't be my team. So appreciate what he did for us, but glad we got the better end of that trade, even if we had to endure 2 years of Willie Taggart for it. So, all right, we talked a little bit of recruiting, but here's something that just kind of came across the desk, as they will say, Richie. That feels like such a radio term, by the way, and I kind of hate that I said that. But Winston Wright, I'm hearing some rumblings there that there could be some frustration. Obviously Ja'Kai was back this week. It was good to see him back out there, but Ja'Kai got a lot of burn in the game. I guess I can look really quickly at the box score. Do you remember seeing Winston out there? I don't remember seeing him playing a ton. He didn't register any stats as far as receiving goes. He is on kick return, but a lot of times the ball goes out of the back of the end zone, and that doesn't really matter. We registered 0 kick returns in the game. So due to the, most teams just kick it out of the back of the end zone. Unfortunately, we didn't kick it out of the back of the end zone every time, but Virginia Tech did. I'm hearing some rumblings that there could be some frustration, right, with Winston Wright. And currently right now he is not listed on FSU's depth chart, or on FSU's roster online. So I don't know what that'll end up meaning. I don't know if that means, obviously the transfer portal is not open right now. But usually there's not a lot of situations where Florida State takes somebody off of their online roster and then puts them back on. In fact, I don't ever remember that happening. So, heard it here first. Double fries, no slaw. Make sure that you give credit and don't steal info. But no, I'm just playing. I don't really care. But yeah, a little bit frustrating. If you were to lose him, I think you're pretty loaded at wide receiver, and if that ends up happening, that ends up happening. But would be kind of unfortunate. I think fans were really, really excited about getting him in and really the talent that he had at West Virginia, and then unfortunately, kind of a nearly tragic accident that we're thankful that he survived. May have ended up kind of ruining what could have been a really pretty successful career in Tallahassee. So we'll see. But I got that news, got told that he wasn't on the roster. I went and checked for myself, and thank God for Control F, and there is no Wright on the FSU roster right now, Richie. So that wasn't in the show notes, obviously. But any quick thoughts there?
I'm actually on seminoles.com and did Control F myself, and there was no Wright showing.
I was gonna say, man, don't tell me you found it. And I just went on like a 5-minute thing.
No, I Controlled F it, and it's not there. Yeah, man, I was a huge fan of Winston Wright Jr. Thought he would, potentially be a very good asset to Florida State, this passing offense. Not a guy you'd want to lose, even though he hasn't done much at Florida State. Look at what he did at West Virginia 2 years ago. I think it was over 54 receptions, over 800 yards. Yeah, the kid can play. So this sucks if he's no longer part of this team. But at the same time, you're 5-0 without him catching a ball. We will move forward and move on at that point. But yeah, man, that stinks, because I was really excited about Winston Wright. But it does look like he is probably not a part of this team anymore.
Yeah, I just actually got further confirmation he is no longer with the FSU football team. So, not a huge loss, but I just hate that for any kid. I know how frustration works. I hate it more for him. Not trying to sound like Mr. Altruistic here or anything, but I hate it more for him than I hate it for us. Just to be very fair, I think we're building something that's pretty nasty right now. I think we're building something that's pretty special, and I wish every kid could be part of what FSU is doing. So I don't think it's a big loss for FSU. I just don't think he's the player that he once was, unfortunately. And, just kind of frustrating for him, because, Florida State did spend time and effort and energy into him. And so it sucks, but, next man up, you move on, you kind of do what you can. I think having Ja'Kai Black kind of probably made it a little bit tougher on him, but, frustrating is what it is. Next man up, and you move on. I think getting Ja'Kai back was really big for this team, and I understand, again, kids being frustrated and wanting to know. So anyway, all right. Moving on. I think that's about all we have. Some big visitors in this weekend, recruiting wise. LJ McCray, I walked by him, and he's just a massive human being. He was with a good buddy that I know. It was his host. I think LJ, I don't know. I'm not overly optimistic here. I'm not overly like, oh, Florida State's certainly going to land him or anything like that. I think Florida State did some really good things with some committed prospects. It was good to see KJ and others in town. 2025 QB Carter Smith was in town. I think that Florida State did some good things there, although they have a 25 committed in Jones. McCray said he saw everything he needed to see. I think the relationships are big there. I'm not super sold that Florida State is in the lead here. He certainly hasn't named any kind of a leader or anything like that. If they were able to move the needle enough and pull this recruitment, it would be one of the bigger recruiting wins that they've had on the defensive line since, I don't know, not counting the portal, Marvin Wilson. It would be huge and massive. And so I think they're putting their best foot forward, absolutely doing everything they can. I thought it was cool. LJ, when I passed LJ and just briefly spoke with him, got a picture, threw it up on social media. He was waiting for Mike Norvell, and he was excited about that. Like, he was excited to kind of be waiting for where the buses come around for the legacy walk. He was excited to be waiting for Mike when Mike got off the bus at the legacy walk. I saw pictures and videos that he was the first person that Mike didn't go through the legacy walk. He walked over and greeted LJ, which I think was cool, kind of a special moment, kind of a cool thing for Mike to do, to say hey, I'm walking in the stadium for this game right now, but you're the first person I'm going to come see. LJ seemed excited that he was waiting for him. Yeah, I'm waiting for Coach Norvell and the team right now. They were almost like they were coming there to see him. Oh, that was a nice touch. I thought that was kind of a cool insight to something that Florida State does, that kind of hey, we're going to put the recruit right here front and center for the legacy walk and have guys come see him. That's a nice touch. I don't know that a kid's going to commit to you because that happens, but I thought that was cool. I thought that was a neat thing that they did. Will it end up being enough in the end? I don't know. If it is, that's huge for the Noles. If not, the transfer portal exists, and maybe you swing back around on him in a little while. So. Anyway, thoughts, Richie, on recruiting or LJ McCray or anything in general there?
Yeah, TJ, you're the one that's kind of plugged into recruiting, and I'm just enjoying this season. And the future is going to be whatever it is, and I feel very confident with Mike Norvell and the staff that they've developed the relationships here in the region that was not there when they first came here. But man, I'm just excited about the season, and this month again. I think Florida State runs the table in October, and then you got Miami, North Alabama, Florida. TJ, this could be a special season. We're not there yet. A loss could very well come. We saw that yesterday with, Texas, who probably thought they were going to beat Oklahoma yesterday, which they did not. But man, I'm just excited about the season, and we're almost halfway through it. And I think we are going to have a very, very strong finish.
Yeah, I think we can recruit better at a couple of places. We could certainly improve on some things.
Linebacker.
But linebacker, defensive line. But at the end of the day, it's hard for me to complain about a program who 2 years ago, lost to Jacksonville State, lost a recruit to Jackson State, and really had one of the more embarrassing, 12, 18 months of any program out there. And so it's nice to be in a different position than we were back then, and expecting your team to hit on every single thing ever is probably a little bit unrealistic. We'll have some good content this week. If you're not subscribed, you should be, outside of breaking the Winston Wright news live on the air that everyone else is now catching up to. We will have some news on some guys that we expect back from injury. We told you about Bless Harris last week. I would expect Bless Harris back this week based on a couple of things that I've heard. I also have some thoughts on the ACC and how that's going to shake out. And tomorrow's video is probably going to be crapping on ACC officials. So make sure that you're subscribed, because I know you guys all love that one. If you watched that ACC official video last week, I got 30,000 views, and I didn't even monetize it because ESPN owns the footage and all that stuff. And so I just begged and pleaded for people to subscribe, and nobody did. So at least I asked. So Richie, any shout outs, any thoughts, anything you want to talk about before we wrap this thing up?
No, just happy to be 5-0, and I cannot wait till next week. Let's make it 6-0.
I feel good about where we're at. I'm excited for this week. Hey, my boys, Liberty plays on Tuesday night. Colorado plays on Friday night. You obviously got NFL on Thursday, some other games as well. There's football every day. This is a beautiful week. Football
the next 50 days. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. So everything outside of the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, I think, or maybe the Tuesday, something, right? One day that week, I'll just eat a bunch of turkey and be fine that day. So, all right. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. My boy CJ has a show coming up right after this, 7:05 Doak Talk. Go check that out if you're in here watching, if you're enjoying it with us. We appreciate you guys for all the love, support. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. I'll have more on Winston Wright over in the Discord. Link is in the description. Love you guys. Thank you for hanging out. Richie, Harlan, thank you, boys. Go Noles.